What's going on, coders? Welcome to this video on solid design principles. You might be wondering what solid design principles actually are. Well, essentially they're part of the overall design principles in software engineering that are the most common for building object-oriented software and applications. This tutorial series will focus on SOLID, which is an acronym for 5 different design principles. And as a software engineer or a site reliability engineer, we should all really pay attention and know how to implement these. This first video will focus on the single responsibility principle, which essentially means that a class should have one responsibility and no more. In order to illustrate how this looks like in practice, what we're going to do is design a small application which will keep track of the books that we've read. So let's dive into the code. First off, we're going to create a class called books. We're going to initialize this like so. And then we're going to have a dictionary to store our books and a number to keep track of these books in the dictionary. The number will essentially take the key part in books, and then the value will be passed in the next method. So let's write up the next method, which is add book, and it's going to take self and a book in here. And first we're going to type in an increment number, and then we're going to store in the value, we're going to store the book that we've passed in. Right? So far so good. Now the final method that we're going to implement is actually the string representation method, not the init. We already have the init, and this will return a string of our books dictionary, right? So if we wanted to create an instance of this class, we might do b equals books, and then we want to add a book or two, so we'll do b add book, and we're going to say book A and b add book, and that's going to be called book B. Right, and then if we want to show what we already have stored, we'll print that out and say the books I have read are, and we're going to put B in here. And if we run that, then we can see the books I have read, and then the dictionary with one and the first and the second book in here. So that's all good. And currently this class abides by the single responsibility principle. Now, however, if we were to add an additional method which will store our books on our hard drive, and we'll call this store books, and that will take the self, and we do with open file name as write, and then fwrite self.books. We'll need to actually pass in the file name in here, like so. and then we want to see that in practice. We'll do b.storebooks, and we need to pass in the file name, so we're going to call it file name a.txt, right? So we'll run that, and we are getting an error. Argument must be string, not dict. Yes, indeed. So we need to typecast that into a string so we can write it. And we run it again, and we can see the books I have read are book one. Book one is book A, and book two is book B. And if we were to look at the file name that we've passed in, file name underscore a.text, we can see that we've properly saved those books. Now, storing the books, however, actually breaks the single responsibility principle. In order to not break the principle, what we need to do is have another class and call it store books. Or store, yes, let's call it store books. And in store books, we're going to have a method, and we'll call that save books. That's probably better. So we'll remove self from here. We'll need to pass in books like so, and then we're going to make this a static method. Now, in order to run this, first we're going to initialize it and call store books like that, and then save books, and we'll need to pass in the file name but also the books as well. So let's change the file name to file name B, and then we're going to pass in books like so. Let's run that, and we can see that we still output as we normally would, which is this section of the code. But also, if we were to cat file name b.txt, then we can see that we have book A and book B in our file name.txt. And we have essentially separated the saving or the storing of the dictionary of books onto the local system from actually keeping track of the books that we currently have read. That essentially marks the difference between implementing the single responsibility principle in two different classes with different responsibilities or breaking it. I hope this video has been useful to you, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.